everyone, it's me, MeganBob, the creator of Hard Choices. If you're familiar with the show, thank you for being a listener. If you're taking a chance on this show for the very first time, buddy, I hope you are ready to hear about which Final Fantasy characters eat out like they get paid by the orgasm and who wants to get pegged real bad. That is not why I'm here, though. I just wanted to let you know that we lost a tiny bit of audio and it had to be re-recorded separately. There's only about 5 or 6 minutes of it, so it does have a different sound quality than the rest of it. However, we here at Hard Choices believe life gives you lemons. You take those lemons, you put them in sexy lingerie. So in the spirit of that guiding ethos, I add some sexy music to those bits. So that way you're gonna feel the crotchless panties on that citrus fruit. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that was the case. Oh, fuck. Okay. They need me back at the monster orgy. I have to go. All right, bye!
Hello, and welcome to Smash Fiction Hard Choices, the podcast where we assemble a, frankly, unnecessarily large ragtag team of fuckable characters and try to recover the long-repressed memories that lie at our own throbbing hearts of horniness. And yes, we'll eventually climb a big tower and try to survive a 3-part boss battle with the median, zenith, and the nadir of fuckability. But really, this podcast is less about the ending and more about all the grinding we did along the way. This month, we're talking about the objectively best Final Fantasy game of all time. Fight me. Final Fantasy VI. I'm your host. Oh, before I say my name, it looks like the screen went black and a little description appeared. A mysterious young woman with a gift of perfect tits, enslaved by her love of big, strong ladies. Oh, here's the part where I enter my name. I'm your host, Claire Oh, I ran out of characters. I can only do 6 letters, apparently? Okay, I'm your host, Claire. Our next party member... Oh, he comes and goes like the wind, swearing allegiance to no one. Hidden behind his wintry gaze lies a black box of sexuality known to none who live. Okay, let's enter the name. Dan Mull... Oh, that's all we can fit. Dan Mull.
I prefer the term booty hunter.
Oh my god.
Our third party member... A wise old gentle-them who has spent their whole life pursuing the secrets of monster fucking. MeganBob... Oh, that won't work. I guess we can do MeganBob? Sure.
All right, I'll take it. Nothing beats the sweet music of hundreds of voices screaming in unison.
And finally, a noble warrior from the foreign land of not this podcast. In her game design, she captures everything. Forests, water, light, the very essence of the thing she writes about. Okay, Alex Rowe? Maybe just her last name? Robert. Oh, can't fit the S in there. Okay, Alex Rowe, everybody.
It's great to be here. I wish I had a fun joke prepared.
No, that is okay.
Something Spoony Bard.
Beautiful!
We decided to go with a slightly smaller list than usual this time. When putting the list together, we found there were 17 characters that we were really excited to talk about before there was a pretty noticeable drop-off in quality, so sorry if you wanted to hear our thoughts on Owzer, and I guess Gung Ho. Anyway, each of us independently ranked these 17 characters from most to least fuckable, and we will begin by going around finding out everyone's median character, the one they ranked number 9 this time. We'll then work our way down through everyone's bottom 8 until we reach the nadir, and then go back up through the top 8 until we reach the zenith. For the most part, everyone's going to only offer a brief reason why they ranked each character the way they did, but each of us has enough MP to use 3 big feels interjections, which means that any 3 entries on the list can be expanded into a slightly longer argument. After all the lists have been revealed, we will aggregate them to come up with a single master list, and we will take some time to unpack the choices our friends made along the way. We now cut to a black void where MeganBob, wearing a Moogle costume, is going to give us a little tutorial about fuckability.
Fuckability is not about what they look like. It's about what they fuck like. So assume that they are into you, you are into them. How good is the sex and what is it like?
And with that, we will unveil all the characters we're ranking today, but first, a few honorable mentions.
Umaro! He's a big Yeti man, and I'm very excited about that, but he's also canonically 4 years old, so nope.
Also, not being talked about in this episode is Emperor Gestal. This game has a surprisingly high old dude quotient to it. And after a while, we kind of looked at a version of the list that we had, and we were like, yeah, there's a lot of old guys on here. So most of them got cut out. We have Cyan and Strago and Sid to meet MeganBob's very particular Peepums quotient. But, you'll see a lot more weird monsters and wild cards on the list as a result.
Along similar lines, Bannon. There's nothing wrong with him, but he's a pretty minor character, and he's just another weird old beardy dude. Though he's a kind of, dirty wild man beardy dude, so I feel like if we had shown Bob a picture, they would still probably be into him.
I have a type.
Also, Lone Wolf is not going to be making an appearance today, the pickpocket. Because, okay, Wolfman, very cool. We just don't really know that much about him. There's not that much to speculate about. So he's in, a few scenes, super briefly, and we don't really get a personality. So, yes, obviously, we would love to fuck this wolf. That's just default. But it's just not enough to talk about. And also, if you saved Lone Wolf instead of saving Mog on the mountain outside of Narsh, you are unfuckable. That
Heartless monster.
I think you should be in jail if you did that, actually. And finally, not appearing in this episode are Biggs and Wedge. We originally talked about doing them as a package deal. Biggs and Wedge have a long history of recurring in Final Fantasy games, starting with this game, actually. And most of the time, they're kind of fun or interesting or quirky or whatever. But in this game, they get blown up by a frozen bird lizard within about the first 10 minutes of the game, and then no one speaks about them ever again. So we're going to do more Final Fantasy games down the road. You're going to see some Biggses and Wedgeses at that point, just not in this particular episode.
And with that, our actual list of 17.
Number 1, Tara Branford. A young woman with strange magical powers and no idea who she is or who she wants to be. She also sometimes transforms into a screaming, naked pink monster, which, hey, same.
Number 2, Locke Cole, a daring thief or treasure hunter who, despite his cheerful disposition, carries a lot of baggage from his past. And we're not just talking about all the stuff he's stolen.
Number 3, Edgar Figaro, a charismatic young king, brilliant inventor, certified ladies' man, and secret supporter of the rebellion against the evil empire. Oh, even Tony Stark would be jealous of that multi-hyphenate list.
Number 4, Sabin Figaro, Edgar's twin brother who gave up the throne to go live in the woods and do push-ups. Now he's a martial arts himbo who is strong enough to suplex anything, even a train.
Number 5, Cyan Garamond, a noble aging samurai with a mustache who lost his entire kingdom and his entire family to the Empire and swore revenge. Also, he doth speaketh entirely in faux Shakespearean English, if that beeth thine thing. Forsooth.
Number 6, Celeste Cher, a fiercely independent Magitech knight with no time for your bullshit. Though she once served the Empire, now she'll stop at nothing to defeat them, even if it means singing opera.
Number 7, Setzer Gibani, a no-good scoundrel with long white hair, a black trench coat, facial scars, an airship, a death wish, a handful of playing cards, and no regards for the laws of polite society. Including some very important laws against kidnapping women and making them marry you. But we're gonna talk about that. My big feels marker is already.
Oh boy, calling your shot.
Number 8, Strago Magus, an elderly man who acts like just a quirky old weirdo, but he's secretly a powerful wizard and a quirky old weirdo.
Number 9, Shadow, a heartless mercenary ninja with a hidden face and a hidden backstory. His only love is money, and also his sweet, sweet Doberman interceptor.
Number 10, Go-Go, a magical mime who can mimic the abilities of others, wrapped in endless layers of colorful clothing. Fans like to speculate, but technically, they have no canon backstory, gender, or even species. How mysterious.
Number 11, Kefka, the right-hand man of Emperor Gestal, who is also a nihilistic murder clown. He eventually kills the Emperor, ends the world, and becomes God. So then you have to kill him. It's a whole thing.
Number 12, General Leo Christoph, an honorable and compassionate imperial general who eventually takes a stand against Kefka, and as such, gets Sean beaned before he can officially join the party.
Number 13, Moduin, a wise and open-hearted Esper who had a forbidden and tragic love with a human. Did we mention he's an absurdly muscular monster man with long blue hair and horns?
Number 14, Shiva and Ifrit, an iconic pair of recurring Final Fantasy summons. Ifrit is a big, strong demon with a fiery temper, and Shiva is a nearly naked blue lady who is cool as ice. They seem to be friends in this game, so we're including them as a pair. But there's also not much story about these two particular Espers, so this one's going to be based more on vibes.
Number 15, Sid, a gentle and melancholy scholar who invented magical technology, aka Magitech, for the evil empire, and then was surprised when they used this technology for evil imperialism. There are many Sids in many Final Fantasy games. This is the one that wears a yellow jumpsuit that makes him look like a banana.
Number 16, Ultros. Self-described as octopus royalty, this many-tentacled purple monster is an irritating recurring villain turned possible ally that we find ourselves charmed by despite our best efforts. He's full of corny jokes, weirdly horny comments, and far too many teeth if you're a fucking coward.
And finally, number 17, Phantom Train Ghosts. You never know what you'll find when you talk to one of the white-robed ghosts on the Phantom Train. Some are friendly, some are hostile, and some try to sell you stuff. So wherever each of us ranks this particular entry on our list, this is going to represent how excited we feel about just rolling the dice and trying to fuck a random Phantom Train ghost. So, consequences be damned.
Now, without further ado, let's get started with everyone's list, beginning at their median, which this time is number 9. Bob, who is your number 9?
Tara Branford. So, getting someone when they're in that space of just having let go of some enormous burdens and when they're finally in that place to explore their whole self, not just who they have to be to survive. Okay, that's not a guarantee of a good fuck, but that is a guarantee of a singular fuck. And that's pretty good.
I agree. Alex, who is your number 9?
My number 9 is Locke Cole for kind of the opposite reason. He is directly in the middle because obviously Locke, nice to look at. I'm sure he's very charming, but there's nothing that repels me, but there's nothing that attracts me. You know what I mean? Okay, he's probably kind of fun to hang out with, but I just don't, I don't get an interesting sexual energy from Locke.
Yeah. Dan, who is your number 9?
My number 9 is Celis.
What? Sorry.
So,
no, this is good audio.
That's
good
the
audio.
appropriate reaction. So Celis is a military woman, just completely. And, we see throughout the game that she's all about, keeping her dignity, even if that means literally allowing herself to be executed. So, she's strong-willed for sure, but she doesn't strike me as being especially creative or experimental. I think she decided a long time ago, what she's into and what she isn't interested in exploring outside of that. So, I think within the bounds of the one or two things she likes to do, she's going to be good, but I don't think that you get a lot of flexibility from her.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Damn. All right. My number 9 is Setzer. Despite my best efforts, I find myself weirdly intrigued by this greasy Gambit-ass motherfucker. Especially because of the stuff that's sort of downplayed in the English version, where he's just, like, totally dead inside. I'm weirdly into that. I think we could work out a thing where I would put on a pretty dress and sing some opera, and then he would consensually, non-consensually kidnap me and consensually, non-consensually ravage me on the deck of his airship.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 10. Alex, who is your number 10?
So I put the Phantom Train Ghosts at the number 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's very middle of the road because it's such a gamble, because I feel like it could be the wildest sexual experience of your life, or it could just be like a breeze, you know, like, whoa, what was that? Like, I really don't know. So for me, I'm like, high risk, but I don't know if it's high reward, or, you know, it's all ambiguous. So I kind of put it in the middle.
Dan, your number 10?
My number 10 is Shadow. I think he's going to be kind of boring, to be completely honest. Like, the dude has years and years of being a selfish loner. And even if he's into you, I don't think a one-night stand is going to change that. So, like, he's not going to give you a lot of special attention, you know? He's just kind of going to be... He's a mercenary. He's going to be very mercenary about it. But I will say, I think he could be extremely attentive if you're able to somehow develop a long-term relationship with him, but he, like, takes a while to warm up to people. But, like, you know, if his relationship with his dog is any indication, he's very caring, very considerate for those few people that he actually loves. So, you know, you get him to put a ring on it, I think you're going to be good. But, like, as far as flings go, you can do a lot better.
Bob, your number 10.
Big feels. Sabin Figaro. So I love a himbo. I don't think I'm going to get anything amazing here, but it's going to be good, solid fucking. Mm-hmm. However, the secret sauce here, brash and unsubtle. So this is the person who will, just apropos of nothing, you're putting groceries in the car, nothing is happening, goes, I can't wait to get home and go down on you for like an hour. At which point you're like, you know, it's okay that there's not a lot of finesse here. Maybe I don't need that.
Oh my God, you're so right. You're so right. He does just have that, like, I don't know, bluntness? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is good perspective.
My number 10 is the Phantom Train Ghosts. Yeah, I'd roll the dice and fuck a ghost. And fucking on a train. Mm. If you've heard our vampires episode, you know your girl loves a random encounter fuck. And even if one goes bad, I can take a Phantom Train Ghost. They're not that hard. Like, whatever. It's not higher on the list because it feels disrespectful to the actual characters. Like, as opposed to like this dumb joke thing we came up with. But, you know, still solid. So. All right. Number 11. Dan, who is your number 11?
My number 11 is Locke. He strikes me as being pretty deeply insecure. You know, he hides it reasonably well behind this kind of cool guy veneer, but like, you see how violently he blows up anytime someone refers to him as a thief instead of a treasure hunter. And that just like shows how fragile his ego is and how like deeply important it is that he be seen in this one specific light that he's cultivated for himself since I imagine probably middle school. So I feel like Locke talks a big game. He has a lot of moves that he's worked very hard on, but tries to make look easy.
Yes.
But I also don't think he takes mistakes or disappointments well. So, like, if something goes wrong, it's going to ruin your night with him.
Oof. All right. Bob, who's your number 11?
Cyan Garamond. So, okay, this is where I have to confess that I don't know a whole lot about Final Fantasy VI. I am coming at this with pure boners and not a lot of knowledge. But I kind of don't care if he's any good or not. Like, this fuck is for me. Mm-hmm. This fuck is because I need to hear someone say, unironically say, thou art going to make me come. Like, for me, that is a pleasure beyond price.
Yay, verily.
Alex, who's your number 11?
My 11 is Terra. Obviously, Terra, I love her. I respect her. She's very beautiful. But she is in a very fragile place. And I don't feel like I can commit to Terra. So I'm like, this can't be like a one-off thing. I feel like that's not fair. You know, she really seems like by the end of the game, she really wants to like settle down. So like, gorgeous, lovely. Obviously, Tara's awesome, but I just feel like I don't think I would go there. I don't think it'd be right.
And my number 11 is Shadow. This is one of the cases where I do not think I would be the one to break through that emotional wall and see the real him. So it would be kind of, whatever. And I also think that he might smell bad. Like, his whole body is kind of like an unwashed gym sock, if you think about it. But you know what? You do get to fuck a cool ninja and then cuddle a dog afterwards, so. All right, number 12. Bob, who is your number 12?
General Leo Christoph. So this is my sad boy fuck, as near as I can tell. Like, this is the fuck that's going to be all, slow brushing hair out of your eyes and just looking at you with this deep gratitude because he's seen some real fucking shit. And I also think, given the fact that he cares about people, he's probably going to be strong on fundamentals, so that's pretty good.
Are you sure you haven't played this game? Because that is, like, eerily accurate.
No, I just have read a lot of fanfic of everything.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I think Bob will get like 2 sentences into the description of an FF6 character, be like, oh yeah, this one, yeah, like they're.
Oh, I know how they fuck. Of course, if you needed any other information about them, I would be useless.
Right. Alex, who's your number 12?
My 12 is Ultros.
Ooh.
He is... I'm not saying I wouldn't regret it. I'm just saying I would do it. And
I am saying you would certainly regret it.
I think, like, Ultros is just, like, such a dirtbag. He, I think, would be very comfortable being someone's last choice. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's totally happy to be... He's like, hey, if you ever need a last resort, here's my phone number. That's how Ultros talks in my mind. So he's, like, kind of gnarly, but also I feel like he gets laid so infrequently that he would really give it his all. Like, he would really make it count. You know what I mean? I would still regret it and feel terrible and never tell anyone. But again, yeah, like, a tentacle's a tentacle at the end of the day, folks. I don't know what else to... Yeah.
Okay, I'm calling it audible. He was lower on my list. My number 12 is now Ultros. Yeah, not lower. Mm-hmm. He got tentacles. Not higher because in the movie adaptation, he's definitely played by Wallace Shawn.
Oh my god. No.
Dan, who is your number 12?
So my number 12 is Go-Go. And the big hurdle with Go-Go is that they're a mimic. Like, they're basically not capable of a lot of independent individual thought or action. They spend an unspecified amount of time in the belly of a giant worm just because there wasn't anyone around them that they could mimic into leaving. So... whatever you do to Go-Go, Go-Go will do to you. So, like, essentially, you won't be able to perform any kind of sexual act in which there's a clear top and bottom. Like, it's going to have to be 69ing and or scissoring, depending on the genitalia involved. And on top of that, like, Go-Go's only going to be as sexually competent as you are. So if you ever wanted a mirror match of a sexual encounter, I guess this is the person for you.
All right, moving on to number 13. Bob, who is your number 13?
Strago Magus. Strago Magus. Like, that level of enthusiasm. And that level of clumsiness and being prone to mistakes.
Yeah.
It appeals. Like, I'm not saying I can't finish unless someone knocks over a lamp, but it does help.
Alex, who is your number 13?
Okay, so my 13 is Cyan Garamond. I don't know, if I was going to review this list, he might go a little bit higher, but he's never going to be at the top. I feel like he's a beautiful man. Beautiful man. We know this. Please, everyone, do yourselves a favor and go look at the Yoshitaka Amano concept art for Cyan Garamond. It's a treat. He's a treat for the eyes, but no matter how much DILF energy we're looking at, no matter how much mustache vibes we may be getting, I think, first of all, I think he has functionally only had sex once. I think he doesn't know a lot. I think, like, I'm on the record saying that this guy would love to get pegged, but would he ask for it? Would he know what that is? Maybe not. He has studied the blade, but I don't know if he know. I think he's got some holes in his game. And like the widower energy can be really attractive, but I genuinely just think that like Cyan is going to talk about his dead wife, possibly during, or like will compare you to her in some way or something. And like, that's the ultimate turnoff. I can't deal with it. So I think Cyan is kind of lower on the list, or sort of near the middle. Not because I'm neutral on him, but actually because I'm like very ambivalent. Like, he's obviously a hunk, but like, is he good for anything besides looking at? I don't know. I'm not convinced.
My number 13 was also Cyan, and it's one of my big feels. So, he's a gentleman, a warrior, haunted by his past, seeking human connection, all that stuff, you know. Ordinarily, this is like top tier material. However, I feel like if you try to fuck Cyan at any point during the actual events of the game, it's going to end so messy. Because, you see, he seems like your standard, honorable, sad samurai dad with a dead family. But during the World of Ruin storyline, there's this really dark, like, subplot with him where you learn that he's been writing love letters to a woman pretending to be her dead boyfriend. And it's the sort of thing where it seems really out of character for him, but also it kind of totally makes sense because of everything he's been through. And I feel like that just belies that there's this kind of really unfun unpredictability to getting involved with Cyan, I feel like. He does not want a casual thing. He wants romance, he wants his new soulmate, and he is also very much not ready for that. He does not need a relationship. He needs so much therapy. Dan, your number 13?
I already know that I'm going to get some heat for this one. My number 13 is Shiva and Ifrit.
Oh.
There's a lot going on here, and very little of it is good. I feel like this would be the sexual equivalent of getting the good cop, bad cop interrogation at the police station, with Ifrit being wild and aggressive and Shiva being like more enticing and coy, but they're both trying to dom you in an extremely aggressive way. Shiva is going to be ice cold, and Ifrit is going to smell like sulfur, and I think I would rather just watch a movie. Please and thank you.
All right, number 14. Alex, who is your number 14?
At number 14, I have put Go-Go. Go-Go has their fans, obviously. Fun, fresh, flirty, mysterious. We don't know what's going on under those fun, multi-patterned robes. Like, I see the appeal of the mystery. What we do know about Go-Go is that they will just do whatever you do, but not as well. That's not what I'm looking for in a partner. I just think I'm like, what are you bringing to the table? Surprise me. Because they have this like mysterious persona, but what they actually do is literally just like mimic you. So at a certain point, I just don't think it would be that interesting. I don't think it'd be that fun. I would rather sit down and hang out with Go-Go.
My number 14 is Locke. He is basically the same person as Cyan, who I just talked about, but minus 20 years of maturity. I feel like if you ever fuck him, this eager little puppy is going to cling so hard. He's going to act like he's really cool and like it's just a casual thing, but if you ever try to break it up, he will show up at your house with a boombox.
Oh, no.
Dan, who is your number 14?
My number 14 is Strago. I'll be real. I don't think he's gotten any in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to be clumsy and unpracticed. He may overestimate his own body's capabilities. You know, I feel like this might be the first time he's had sex since turning 50, which was 20 years ago. So I just feel like he's going to run into the very real downsides of aging. And, you know, we see in the game, he doesn't like being reminded of how old he is. You know, he doesn't like being thought of as a geezer. So I think that's going to be it for him. You know, like, the spirit is willing at first, but is easily discouraged when it realizes how weak the flesh is.
Bob, who is your number 14?
Celeste. She's super hot, but she fucks Locke, and she's serious most of the time, and she's not serious in a scary way. she could be extremely good, and I still wouldn't really enjoy it because this is Rocky Road ice cream, and I do not like Rocky Road ice cream. But I will still eat it.
Bob, just... Bob.
You can teach me. I want to be wrong.
No,
can
you're
help
fine.
me.
You're fine. We have established that TNA does 0 for you. It is just like value neutral. All right, number 15. Dan, who is your number 15?
Big feels. The Phantom Train Ghosts.
Oh.
This is a tough one for me to rank. You know, I do these hard choices lists by saying, okay, imagine having sex with this person. Okay, how did it go? But like, in this case, baked into the premise is the idea that you actually don't know how it goes because you don't know what you're going to get. And like, it's hard for me to rank a range of possible options against what are essentially sure things in my head. So essentially, what I came down to is, at best, I don't think that a random ghost is going to be a better fuck than the person that I have at number 8. So that's best possible scenario. At worst, I'm going to get someone who's bland, or who just wants to sell me something, or is outright kind of hostile and terrifying. So I'm fine with, like, you know, some unpredictability, some experimentation in bed, but like, I'd prefer to know who I'm experimenting with before I sign up for it.
My number 15 is Sid. The only thing sexual about this man is the fact that he looks like a giant walking condom. Alex, who's your number 15?
My number 15 is General Leo. And I really just think he is like so noble, so self-sacrificing. His whole thing is just all around this, like, you know, this ethical quandary or whatever. I feel like if he's bringing that energy to the bedroom of just like, oh no, I'm definitely gonna go down on you. You're gonna come first. Like, you know what I mean? And he's like just so into that, and it's just like, bro, can we just like have a good time? You know? So, yeah.
Bob, who's your number 15?
Locke. Oh no, the romantic one. Has he ever seen a boob? Can he see my boobs without crying because they remind him of his girlfriend's boobs that he probably never got to see? If you're going to cry while we fuck, I'd ideally like to be the cause of it. Thank you.
Number 16. Dan, who's your number 16?
My number 16 is Ultros. Great. The giant octopus is a pervert and an incel. He is accurately going to realize that his night with you is likely the only chance he gets to ever have sex, and is going to want to do all the nastiest shit he's been seeing on Pornhub with no consideration whatsoever for what you would like to do. He's also going to insist on having Typhon watch, and I cannot have a boner if Typhon is in the room. The only good part of this is that you could probably easily scare him into running away by waving a lighter at him.
I'm sorry, you don't think Typhon would blow you?
Oh.
Hey, all right, we're making jokes.
Alex, when you're right, you're right.
Alex, who's your number 16?
My 16 is Strago, because he's not the absolute bottom of the list, but I just don't see myself having a good time. There's like distinguished older gentleman, and then there's just old man. And I feel like he's gonna really talk about the age difference, and he's gonna like, you know, he's like, oh, I haven't, you know, or talk about how long it's been or whatever. And and I'm like, I just don't feel it. But he's not the bottom of the list because it's possible he would do some freaky magic shit. And so there's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah. My number 16 is also Strago. I just realized to say this, if he has blue magic, that means he has monster powers to a certain extent.
Yeah, you want your tentacles, buddy.
Oh my god.
Maybe he should have been a little higher. Regardless, he's my 16. Because regardless of monster powers, he's still just the biggest grandpa energy ever. I want him to pull a quarter out from behind my ear and tell me how much I have grown. I do not want to fuck him, thank you.
Yeah.
Bob, who is your number 16?
This isn't what I wanted, but it's Kefka. I I'm scared and horny, but I know I shouldn't be, and I know it would be awful, but I wanted to put him so much higher. And I know he'd be vain and he'd be impossible and he'd probably hurt me in a bunch of ways that weren't fun and sexy. But some tiny part of me's like, but maybe, because I'm an idiot.
I think that's accurate. I think you are an idiot.
Yeah.
Because I think the only acceptable place to put Kefka is where I put him. Because we're now at the very bottom of the list, the bottom of the barrel, worst fuck. And I have mine as Kefka, and he is one of my big feels. There could be versions of this type of character who are sexy. See Sephiroth or Kuja, for examples. But Kefka is thankfully a very non-sexual being to me. As far as I can recall, he never exhibits anything that could be classified as a human emotion, apart from, like, hate and disgust. And I can't picture him wanting to have sex. And when I, like, force myself through that wall to contemplate, like, what his sex drive would be like if he had one, it gets into some very bad stuff. It would not be fun. I would probably not survive. I'd rather fuck Emperor Palpatine. Because we know, unfortunately, that he had kids. I'd rather fuck the Joker. We know the Joker had a girlfriend, and yes, she was horribly traumatized, but she survived, and he had a girlfriend. But, like, Kefka, like, we don't know. And I think there has not been a character I've had to rank on hard choices that I want to fuck less than Kefka. I think out of everyone, he is the bottom, so.
Claire, my 17 is also Kefka.
All right.
I honestly kind of feel like he stretches the basic premise of this show. You know, okay, so he's into me. But what does that mean?
Yes.
He's canonically stated to be incapable of love or compassion. His only source of joy is hurting other people, and not in a way that I think would be fun. Like, best case scenario, we start fooling around, he flies into a rage when I tell him I'm not especially into what he refers to as poison play, and then he gets distracted by his own reflection in a mirror, and I jump out a window.
And finally, Alex, who is your number 17?
That's going to be Sid. It's the most neutral that I feel about any of them, which is, like, more unappealing to me than, like, very ambivalent or, like, negative feelings. Like, Sid, like, that's fine. He took care of Celeste. Like, that's cool. But, like, somehow he has more grandpa energy than Strago. I don't know how it's possible. There's just nothing there for me.
Yeah.
You know what? Samesies. I also have Sid as my number 17.
Yes.
Part of it is, one of his big things is that he's a diplomat. And I was like, that's not really what I'm looking for in sex. Like, no, where is the subterfuge, threats, and bargaining? I know, it's amazing I'm alive.
All right. We lie here, dejected, in a world of ruin, wondering if we'll ever feel joy again. Shall we give up hope? No. We will assemble a list of our most trusted allies, our top 8, and prepare for the final stand against evil. Or horniness, or whatever. This one kind of got away from me. I'll start things off. My number 8 is Go-Go. The ultimate mystery fuck. I mainly just want to do this so I can see, like, what is underneath all of those clothing. Or do I just want to leave it on? I don't know. Maybe I'll let fate decide. We can play some of the hottest new card game in the world of Ruin, Stripple Triad.
Oh, that's very good.
Dan, who is your number 8?
My number 8 is General Leo. I don't think he's going to be the best conversationalist or have the most interesting personality. I also think that his sexual technique is going to be a bit limited. However, you are not likely to find someone more committed to your comfort and satisfaction on this list. If he has decided to spend the night with you, he will do basically anything to ensure you get what you need. He will perform oral on you for hours straight if that's what it takes.
And you ranked other things higher. I am fascinated now.
Good soldier doesn't give up until the job is done, right?
Absolutely not.
Bob, who's your number 8?
Shadow. He'd slit his mama's throat for a nickel. I got a crisp $50 bill. You blow my mind. Give me 5 minutes and you blow it again, baby.
Oh, that's great. Alex, who is your number 8?
My number 8 is Sabin. Sabin Figaro. He's like, just not my type. You know, it's not really my thing. I don't really connect, but glance at that man, like just briefly see his in-game sprite, and you will know that man eats pussy.
Yes.
It is not. It must be a part of it, and it might be literally all he wants to do. So, like, do I see it being like the most amazing night of my life? No, but I know exactly what I'm getting, and yeah, sure, let's do it.
Yes.
Moving on to our number 7. Bob, who is your number 7?
Phantom Train Ghosts. This is purely based on the fact that they're into me, so that's fine. And I think ghosts are hot. Like, if a ghost is guaranteed to be into me, I don't care if it's good ghost sex. I'll fuck one of the Three Stooges if this is ghost sex. My standards for ghost fucking are so low.
My number 7 is Sabine, all of these
Mash.
names are just, there's just no, like, canon pronunciations for any of these. I mean, maybe there is, but I don't care. Sabine, he's a sweet boy with muscles. He loses some points for the flat top, though. His stripper name would be Magitech Mike.
Oh, wow.
Alex, you're number 7?
So this is going to lose me a lot of points with the people on this podcast based on what has already been discussed. But my number 7 is Kefka.
No, I'm here for it.
I noticed you had left that slot open for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I probably just read too much Slave Crown fanfic at a tender age. And is there really any need to elaborate further? I see no reason.
Oh my God. Weird. Like, if I had known about this at that age, I would have been reading it too. I feel like I am seeing myself in a mirror right now. This is so powerful.
It's like, oh, he's like sadistic and like, yeah, that sounds about right. Like, he's not at the top of my list, but top half. My apologies. Carry on.
Dan, your number 7?
My number 7 is Edgar. He's an interesting guy to rank here because he presents as this kind of carefree ladies man, but it's like all this facade covering the fact that he's actually like a pretty shrewd tactician who deeply cares for his kingdom. I feel like he has a lot of stories of these like wild sexual escapades he's gotten into, but almost all of them are lies. I actually think he's kind of sexually inexperienced and like maybe a little bit clumsy, but when he's into you, he's into you. Like, it's actually gonna be good. Not as good as he promises, but still good. Just in a different way.
Alrighty. Moving up to number 6. My number 6. Enormous feels. Just the largest feels of all time. About Terra. So, the version of Terra that's in my headcanon is very interesting and complex, but like many people in Final Fantasy VI, within the actual game, she's substantially underwritten, I feel like. The SNES cartridge has a very limited memory, and so each character only gets a very thin slice of that pie. A lot of the cool stuff with all of the characters is kind of stuff you're projecting onto them to a certain extent, but I feel like that's especially true with Terra. You spend the most time with her early on when she doesn't have any memories, and the really interesting stuff with her is late in the game in the world of Ruin, when she like doesn't want to rejoin the team and wants to like help out this orphanage of kids, but there's also really little of that. It's like a handful of lines of dialogue. And I don't know, like, she's not higher on my list because I don't find her sexy as much as I find her powerful in a way. And I'm really into her for reasons I can't like articulate. I often think about the last image of the game where she's standing on the deck of the airship and she pulls her hair out of the ponytail and lets it just blow in the breeze. And I don't know why, but I just get chills every time I think about it. You know, she's like, for the first time I can remember, I don't have anything to worry about. I can just exist. And that's all in like this little, like, you know, 12 pixel tall little sprite. And she's looking out at the horizon. You still don't know who she is. She doesn't know who she is. but it's great. It's like fucking cool. And I don't know. I just have so many feelings about Tara as a character, but I don't know if I want to fuck her. It's just so powerful. Number 6, I guess. You know, there's just so much. Bob, who's your number 6?
Shiva and Ifrit, because tag team fucking. So I think this is going to be the temperature play scene from your wildest fucking dream. There's nothing not to love here. I'm all in.
Alex, your number 6?
My number 6 is Maduin, who, like, on my most recent playthrough, I was actually, like, watching one of my roommates play through the entire game. I was like, I didn't think about Maduin ever. This is, like, Tara's Esper dad, right? And I was like, Maduin's looking kind of good. I was like, this guy's kind of fine. And I kind of thought, like, I was the only one who thought that. So when I saw it on this list, I was like, hell yeah. He's just a big, muscular beast man with big horns. And I think more importantly, he has already established that he's, like, down for whatever. Like, he is literally the first Esper to bone down with a human. That tells me he's very open-minded, very creative, ready to make it work, ready to try something new. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, you're number 6.
My number 6 is Sid.
Oh, okay.
Guys, Sid fucks and I'm not okay with it. I was staring at that Yoshitaka Amano art, trying to place him on this list. And I don't know what happened, but at some point when I was looking into his eyes, I was like, oh man, this guy fucks. He's probably good. I hate this. I don't know what happened in my brain to make me come to this conclusion. Maybe, yeah, Claire, you said it. Maybe it's the fact that he wears a giant condom as a coat. But, like, whatever the case, I think he'd be good in bed. I hate that, and I would like to move on, please.
I think we may have to unpack that one at some point.
We just might.
All right, number 5. Alex, who's your number 5?
Number 5, I have big feels about. My number 5 is Edgar Figaro. First of all, I love him. I think he's so fun. He reads as, like, very flamboyant to me. Like, it's sort of implied, like, oh, he's a ladies' man, but we never actually see anything come of that. He seems very flirtatious in the way that, like, a very femmy gay man is flirtatious. And that is so fun. The other thing is that just like you can look at Sabin for even a moment and you know he loves eating pussy, when you look at Edgar, that guy wants to get pegged. That you could peg him every day and twice on Sunday, and it would not be enough. Like, literally, I was invited onto this podcast because I was tweeting, speculating about which Final Fantasy VI characters might want to get pegged. I put this question out to the universe knowing the answer was Edgar, primarily. And the most frequent answer that literally everyone gave, everyone was just like, Edgar. And I think that's so fun. And I agree with what's already been said that, like, he's probably not actually that experienced in, like, but he wants to get pegged so bad. And I think that he's one of the only, like, genuinely really submissive men in Final Fantasy VI, from what I can tell. Love his little ponytail. Can't wait to pull it. Anyway.
Awesome. Dan, who's your number 5?
My number 5 is his brother, Savin. You got this guy who decided he didn't want to be a king and instead just spent years pumping iron in the mountains. Like, that gets you some points right there. Personality-wise, he's a bit of a hothead and can be impulsive, but he's also, like, really loyal and caring to his friends. So I feel like you get a night with him and he's into you, the sex is going to be wild and messy, and you're going to end up breaking a headboard, but his first priority will always be your well-being. So, like, it's danger sex without actual danger.
Bob, who's your number 5?
Big feels. This says so much about me. Setzer Gaviani canonically likes being tricked. Like, canonically enjoys a fucking unwinnable bet. Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you have any fucking idea the ways you can play with that? Yeah. Like, fuck the bedroom, the car, Target, via text, anything. Like, okay, you just Heads, I blow you in the captain's chair of your airship. Tails, I break out the leash and call you good boy. Like, I could be wrong, but there is some enormous willing to be led around by the dick energy, and that's a fucking gift.
Bob, when you're right, you're right. My number 5 is General Leo. In the past, we have discussed the mixed bag that is the military fuck. There's the obvious fitness and discipline and dedication to service, but there's also sometimes an inflexibility, a regressiveness, a lack of compassion. I feel like General Leo is all of the good and none of the bad of the military fuck. You know, sensitive, honorable, and a total fucking badass. There's no voice acting in this game, but I'm just gonna headcanon decide that he sounds like Keith David.
Yum yum.
All right, number 4. Dan, who's your number 4?
Claire, at some point, can we get your complete rundown on your fan cast for this? Because you've done Ultros and General Leo so far. Okay, great. Thank you. My number 4 is Setzer. He's a gambler through and through. He openly talks about taking risks. And, you know, sometimes you win big and sometimes you lose, but that's just all part of the game. So, Bob, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like, I think he's wild and experimental when it comes to sex. You know, he absolutely has sex dice. He has naughty playing cards. He
has a sex slot machine.
Yeah, definitely. He's willing to try just about anything. And basically, with him, you will never get vanilla sex. Like, it won't always be successful, but he won't take it personally, right? Like, he knows you lose sometimes, but that's no reason not to play.
Awesome.
Fuck, I should have put him so much higher.
Bob, who's your number 4?
I mean, this is probably part of the reason why. Maduin, he's a monster man who wants to fuck a human. I'll elbow people out of the way to get on that ride. Like, is he good? He fucking will be by the time I am done with him.
Awesome. My number 4 is Edgar. We know he plays the part of the horn-dogging womanizer, as we said, but he is very clearly able to read the room and turn off that persona when it isn't working. That shows a lot of, like, emotional intelligence and sensitivity. And, you guys, he's a horny inventor. You know he has the best toys.
Yes.
So please, hold me in place with your air anchor, hit me with that drill, and bioblast all over my face.
Oh,
no.
Alex, who's your number 4?
My number 4 is Shadow. He's so emotionally unavailable. He's so, like, he's so cool. Like, I just feel like if Shadow, who, like, doesn't care about anyone, you know, except his dog, and he's, like, so remote and removed, if Shadow turns to you at the bar, you know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, I just think it would be really intense. Yes. And also, I don't think he'd stay for breakfast. I think I would wake up and he'd literally be gone after, like, just the most intense night of passion of my life.
Be a fucking window open and your curtains are blowing.
Exactly. The perfect man. So, yeah, number 4.
One who just removes himself from your presence when he's no longer needed.
Yes!
All right. Moving on to number 3. Bob, who's your number 3?
Go. I could not be more into this. A never-ending labyrinth of mystery fucks. This is the Golden Corral buffet of my dreams. Is there one true fuck at the heart of it? Is the true fuck the reality that each of us is a multiplicity of selves? Fuck around and find out.
Alex, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Setzer. I think his, like, in-game portrait, this is one of my big feels, by the way. Huge feels. Does not do him justice. You gotta look at the concept art. He's amazing. Look at that beautiful long hair. And I know I said, like, Edgar is the only, like, true, like, sub on this list, but Setzer is a true switch. Like, 100p. He is down for whatever. And I think, like, specifically, he's just such a decadent man. Like, he flies around in his, like, unnecessarily luxurious airship, and he just, like, gambles. and he is a little bit dead inside. Like, he has kind of lost meaning. And so he, like, just cares about having fun. And I think we could have fun. So, yeah, I think he's, like, so fun, so fresh, so flirty. And vis-a-vis him kidnapping someone, kidnapping an opera star. I read a fic about how, like, that was something that, like, the two of them totally, like, arranged and like, it was her idea and it was this fun thing they were trying to do. And it actually makes sense because when they catch him doing that, there's, like, no consequences at all. Like, they brush over that where he's just like, you got me. And, like, Maria's fine. Like, nothing bad happens to her at all. Like, everyone's just whatever. So I think it was clearly just, like, a very public kink thing that they were doing.
I love this.
You know, it didn't work out. It got him embroiled in this whole, like, rebellion thing. So, Setzer, call me. We can reenact.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is also some big feels. My number 3 is Tara. So I think a night with Tara would be kind of tentative and clumsy at first. You know, you'd have some false starts, some tentative touching. You'd have to move slowly. And eventually it would come to this big emotional climax. And I don't know what it is, because normally in Hard Choices, I tend to shy away from summaries like that. But with Tara, it seems really appealing to me. And it might be because this game has been a part of my life for so many years, and so her plight seems especially sympathetic to me. But I feel like a night with Tara wouldn't be the best sex on a, like, technical level, but it would be really meaningful and memorable. And also, I think that if you made her come, she would reflexively transform in a huge burst of magical light, and that sounds really cool to me.
Oh, yes. Yes. My number 3, along similar Esper fucking lines, is Shiva and Ifrit. It's not a particularly deep reasons, you guys. Look, just teenage me had some feelings about Shiva in every Final Fantasy game. So if some big growling monster wants to, like, pull my hair and fuck me from behind while I'm, like, balls deep in this blue chick, that sounds like a pretty good afternoon to me. Dan, who's your number 2?
My number 2 is Majuan. He's patient, he's open-minded, but most importantly, out of everyone on this list, Majuan is one of 3 characters who we know canonically fuck. Majuan specifically goes out of his way to fuck a human. So he's like a monster fucker, but with the polarity reversed. So he has a weird human fetish, and he would be delighted by all the weird shit that our human bodies do. He's read a bunch of books about techniques to stimulate human erogenous zones, and he's been dying to try them out. So if he's into you, he's going to take you into the Esper world. You're going to fuck in the middle of a magical forest, and afterwards you can hang out with a dragon or something.
Whoa.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Bob, who's your number 2?
Okay. I read this situation wrong, but I think there's something here. Edgar Figueroa. So
Yes.
now the approach I took is a dangerous one, but I'm kind of all in on the person that is willing to trick you so that you can say yes to the thing you want. Like, that's risky, but this is an ideal version of this. So I want you here, you at home, I want you to take a second and think about all the things you want to say yes to, but you're not fucking brave enough to just say it. The things you want to have, like, think about that one thing that you wish would just happen, and you get to experience it without ever having to admit it out loud. Edgar is all too happy to fucking give that to you.
That's powerful.
Beautiful. Well put.
My number 2, I didn't want it to be, she just kept climbing up the list. I'm sorry. It's Celis. I'm basic. What do you want? Futch Knight with a sword or high femme opera singer? Get you a girl who can do both. Bonus points. She's a little mean sometimes, but she's kind and sad underneath, and she has pretty long blonde hair and a cape. What else do you want? And finally, our number 1. Alex, who's your number 1?
My number 1 is Celeste Cher.
Nice.
I feel this is a big feels for me. I feel so sincerely about this. Like, I've been playing this game so many times, and I've like watched other people play it, and like, I'm very obsessed with this game, and I've had a crush on Celeste since I was like probably like 10. And the appeal has never reduced. Like, she truly can do it all. She uses magic and she has a sword. Obviously Switch, obviously Buy, obviously Verse, obviously Futch, obviously amazing. She's very beautiful. She is incredibly strong and powerful because she's a Magitech knight. She has a big sword. That's huge for me. And she does have that like deep like moral conviction. Like, she would never ever want to harm you. She would treat you so carefully and well. She really cares about doing the right thing. But also she is very strong and mean. And I can have it all. That is what Celeste tells me. I feel like with so many people on this list, I've been like, they're great because they won't call me. But Celeste, I am ready to commit. Celeste.
Yes.
We can make it work. Yeah. So that's my number 1.
Dan, who's your number 1?
Big feels. Because y'all are sleeping on Cyan.
Oh.
We are introduced to Cyan when his wife and son, not to mention his entire kingdom, are war crimed to death by Kefka. He spends the rest of the game in a walking PTSD nightmare, haunted, sometimes literally, by the ghosts of his past.
Whoa.
Despite all of this, he never loses his focus, he never forgets his mission, and he still manages to be respectful and thoughtful to those that he meets, but he specifically does not allow himself to get involved in any kind of sexual encounter after this point, even casually. So, in other words, if you have gotten to a point where Cyan is into you enough that he's willing to go the distance with you, I feel like you are talking about a Cyan who has managed to overcome a floating continent of baggage. Like, he kind of cheats to get here because, like, any sex that he has to be at the end of a very long courtship in which the two of you have developed a very intense emotional bond. Like, he wouldn't do it otherwise. So, by default, he has to be number 1.
Checks the math. Checks out. All right. My number 1 is Majuin.
Ooh, yum yum.
Big, sweet monster man who needs love. He'll find you in the wilderness and take you back home to his weird home of monster people, and like you're injured, and he nurses you back to health, and then he welcomes you into his community, and he'll always love you, and he'll protect you no matter what. Well, actually, he'll fail to protect you, and you'll die tragically. But you know what I mean.
But you'll get fucked real good, though.
You will. And finally, I heard Dan made an afraid sound when he realized who it is. I still don't know who it is. Bob, who's your number 1?
Big feels. It's Ultros.
Oh, no!
Oh my god, hell yeah.
Oh, no.
Hell yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Tell me everything. Go off.
The fucking passion. Are you kidding me? Like, there is a tone here of a person that is 100% down to fuck you at any time, and then will actively conspire to make that happen because watching you come apart is like a capital P priority in their life. And the other thing, he just randomly shows up.
Yeah.
Like, that's the equivalent of the person that just whispers in your ear, in the next 24 hours, I'm going to come find you. And when I find you, I'm going to fuck you. No details, no instructions, just the sense that this will happen and you have to live on the edge waiting for it. And he has tentacles and scary teeth. Are you fucking kidding me? I know. I'm an idiot.
If it wasn't such bad audio, I would slow clap. Like, just picture me
you.
doing it. It's so moving.
All right. Well, it sounds like we have a lot of thoughts about all of these characters, so why don't we move on now to Let's Unpack That. All right. I know what I'm going to start with. Dan, explain yourself with this whole Sid thing. It's just a vibe? You just look at his eyes and you feel it? It's nothing more than that?
I don't know what it is, Claire. I truly don't. Okay, so I'm straight, right? So, like, I have to go through this whole process of, like, translation for me to, like, even engage in this topic in a way that's, like, fair, right? Like, I can't just go by who do I want to fuck. I have to go by presuming I have fucked all of them in a way that I am into, which that in and of itself is some acrobatics I have to go to. Like, who is the best? And, like, maybe he likes doing roleplay where I'm Donkey Kong and he's a banana. You know? Maybe that's what it is.
I am looking at Sid concept art right now, and, like, Dan, you know, this is really our first time chatting.
Yeah.
I don't know you super well. I don't want to come at you or anything, but Mance looks like a school principal.
Yeah, I don't feel it, Dan. I just look at him. I'm like,
you know what though? The pants. I feel like Dan's might be right though.
Yeah,
the pants
crazy.
are a pants of a man who's like, I don't fear God. I don't care.
There is a comfort with himself.
yeah, a confidence, I suppose. Yeah.
I'm saying, out of everyone on this list, he's the only one who's clearly wearing waterproof clothing at all times. So I just feel like he has plans, you know? Like, he's also really deeply guilty about all the, like, Magitech stuff that he helped to bring into this world and then the atrocities that they did. So I feel like the guy's got a lot of guilt. And, like, you know, that can kind of break one way or the other. But look at that mustache. Like, you know which way it's breaking with him.
Yeah, you know what? I'm willing to believe Dan. I was wrong.
I do not want to fuck him. I cannot be clearer about that. But if
I'm not gonna make you fuck
But if I did, I just think he would be on the top half of the list.
Okay.
I hate it. I hate it as much as all of you do.
Sure.
I got Phantom Train Ghost questions for all of you who did not put the Phantom Train Ghost higher, because the presumption is that they are into you. And so I'm like, you get all different possibilities of them being into you. And, like, even if they're angry into you, that's still not bad. I mean, I get if they're trying to upsell you mid-fuck, that's kind of weird. But that's not necessarily a deal breaker if it's a ghost, right?
Thinking about it a bit more, I think I maybe should move them up a couple notches. I don't know. Like, I was kind of thinking of it like maybe it'll be good, maybe they'll attack me. But if we do take it as, like, they are into you, I could be down with an angry ghost fuck. But,
right?
Yeah.
I think the ghost thing is, like, more a negative than like, I appreciate the, like, novelty of it for me, but it doesn't fall under, I don't know. And for me, they are literally the middle, right? Like, it's just like, okay, cool, I'm down. But my expectations are just totally open.
I've said in the past, I said earlier in this episode about how I don't like cold stuff, you know? And I feel like you're going to get that with a ghost regardless. And, like, when you run into a Phantom Train ghost that's like an enemy and you get into a fight with it, they suddenly turn into this really horrific looking thing. And Bob, I know that's not a deal breaker for you, and in fact is kind of enticing for you. It is not for me. I don't want to see my lover's skull, is all I'm going to say. Alex, I would like for you to talk to us about your dream date with Kefka. What does this look like?
Yes, I need to know.
My dream date, he kidnaps me. He does the weird Bond villain thing where you're, like, kept very comfortable and, like, given a nice outfit to wear.
Okay, sidebar, what outfit does he give you to wear?
Oh my god, I don't know. Literally just Tara's outfit, and you're like, ugh. You know the bit in Street Fighter where, like, Chun-Li wears her, like, really ridiculous fetishized costume, but it's literally just because M. Bison, like, gave it to her? That's kind of the scenario that I'm looking at.
Okay.
And I just think that that's very fun and, like, exciting and interesting. I don't know. Plus, I think he also probably, like, he gets to be very sadistic in his day-to-day. And so I feel like he also is definitely on the wants to be pegged list. So
you're blowing my mind.
I think it's possible.
You honestly think that Kefka is repressing a part of his mind at all. And if he is, it is a nice part. It's just more like murder. That's like...
There's nothing nice about it. He's just a greedy masochist, you know? Like,
Maybe.
Yeah. I just
I'm
think
here for it.
It's messed up. And there's a reason he's not at the top of my list, you know? But, like, I just think he's more interesting than pretty much everyone on the bottom of my list.
I'm with you, Alex. I'm with you.
Thank you, Megan. God.
I know a lot of people placed Edgar, like, reasonably high. Like, that was not... I didn't have any feelings about that. But just, like... Do you really think he wouldn't be good? Like, it would be clumsy or something? I don't know. The guy who pulls that shit, to me, is like somebody who has it together in some ways. I mean, maybe not in the ways that you would like, you know, in the real world, you wouldn't like that. But in this kind of fantasy fuck scenario, then I feel like he's at least got a lot of clear ideas about what he wants and what he would be doing.
For me, I have no problem with Edgar. The only people above Edgar on my list are Monsters and Celeste. So I think Dan was the one who felt that about him. But
yeah, I had Edgar the lowest. I had him at 7. Everyone else had him at 5, 4, and 2. So he had a very good showing. And like, honestly, I think he'd be fine. I think that, you know, all the people that I put above him, I just feel like, with the objectively bizarre exception of Sid, everyone else is like pulling some extra weight.
Mm.
I feel like Edgar would be good to very good. Everyone else would just be like better, I guess.
Okay.
I have that feeling. I think if I was going to reorganize this list, there's like lots of stuff I would move around. Probably move Kefka lower because I kind of forget about the clown thing. The clown thing is not really for me. But I do think like I would put Edgar above Shadow for all the reasons I've already elaborated on. And the only reason he's not higher is because, like, yeah, Setzer, Shiva and Ifrit, like Celeste, like, it's only because everyone else is so amazing that Edgar is not higher on my list.
Bob.
Yeah.
Really, Ultros? I guess, I mean, you've said yes, but I just one more time. I just want to, like...
So, the way you describe... So what happened was Claire sat me down, and over the course of about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, she described to me the characters and took me through the journey of Final Fantasy VI. I had sort of like a choose your own adventure audiobook experience of this.
When the party splits into 3, I let them pick what order we did those 3 chapters in.
Amazing.
It was fantastic. And then you giggled every time Ultros came up. And then also Ultros just showed up at the opera, and I knew. The moment that happened, I fucking knew that this fucking nutcase, this dumb fuck nutcase, was just so special. Because, like, if that's a person who wants to fuck you, then they're just like, this is all I do. This is my job now. Is like, you know what? Doesn't go well. I will be back tomorrow and I will do better because that is all I care about. And that's fucking delightful. And also to do it in these dumb ways. But I'm also like, I like to think that anybody with that many tentacles and teeth has figured some shit out. It would be such a shame. The universe would not be so cruel to me. Would it? Would it be that cruel to me to give somebody so many tentacles and teeth and also have them be terrible at fucking? The universe loves me more than that.
So really, we have Claire to blame for you loving Ultros as much as you do.
I mean, a little bit.
I am interested, Bob, because like I was kind of trying to think about who your high picks would be.
Yes.
And you put Setzer relatively high on your list. You have him at number 5.
I should have put him so much higher.
Are you aware that he's the Phantom of the Opera in this story?
Oh,
He should have been my number 1. I could lead the Phantom of the Opera around by the dick? What the fuck?
And he has an airship.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Dan, I've made a terrible mistake. Oh no.
I feel like Setzer is one of the few characters that we're all pretty much on the same page with.
He doesn't just fuck. The fuck pours off of him.
He honestly has a little bit of like Jareth the Goblin King energy.
Oh yeah,
but but more down to earth. He still has this like weird trickster vibe.
Okay, so in this fan cast we're doing, obviously, like 80s David Bowie is playing Setzer.
Yes.
Or current Tom
100%.
Hiddleston if you prefer.
Yeah, these are both delicious. Oh my god. Okay. Dan. Go. Okay, I get you this mimic thing. Do you not think there is nothing underneath that? Do you think you cannot fuck your way through it? I think there must be a way.
I don't think there's much underneath it. I mean, it's like I said, Gogo is literally in the belly of a worm when you find them because there was no one else around for them to mimic to leave. Like, so much of this being's identity is bound up in this idea of, I'm just going to do what the people around me are doing. Like, I think they end up mirroring Celis's blink speed after a while. It's like that level of, I need someone else around me and I'm going to mimic them. Like, I did think for a second, because in the game, statistically, you can go into Gogo's like character sheet and actually assign them abilities that are unique to other characters. So, they can imitate like Cyan's sword abilities or like Shadow's throw ability or whatever, and then like do that stuff in combat. But the thing is, because of Gogo's stats, they're not nearly as good at those characters at doing those same things. So I feel like if Gogo tries to mimic things that they have seen previously, they're not going to be as good.
Dan, you got all this data. You got all these numbers, all these facts.
Sure.
I need you to just get in touch with your feelings for a moment. just the vibes.
Right.
There's no part of you that is intrigued by this weird, mysterious cryptid, this like inexplicable, wrapped in mystery. Like, who is this person? Like just the experience of, I think I fucked a concept. I think I fucked a glitch in reality in human form. Like, that's nothing.
I am intrigued by it. Like, I do think that there's a possibility that you could get something interesting and unique out of it. But like, again, I have to operate in the mindset of, I did this, how did it go?
Okay.
And so I have to like nail something down, right? So like, eventually I have to like blow the dust off of this, because I used to think of it as, I'm in a bar with all these characters and who do I want to take home first? And that was too based on physical attractiveness. And so I have to be like, okay, let's look at this from the other direction. I've spent the night with all of them. Who was the best?
But part of it can also be like, I was changed. The sex is not good, but I was changed.
Sure.
Is it a fun story?
I think that's enough unpacking. All right. So Dan has just run a bunch of data through the, Fuckatronic 9000. And I see the little dot matrix printer has shot out a piece of paper. Dan, what does it say on it?
Let's get it.
So for the first time, to my knowledge, in the history of Hard Choices, we have no overlap on the list.
Oh, what?
Everyone occupies their own distinct and bespoke slot.
Whoa, that is
wow.
wild.
Wow.
That does not happen.
Often when I do these calculations, we'll end up with, for example, 2 people in the number 8 slot in like the overall calculations.
There is no like tied for number 10 is blank
Right,
and blank.
exactly.
It's all okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, we have
so
no-
it is a definitive list.
Yeah, it is definitive. We have no like last minute hasty calculations to do. Everyone is very solidly landed in their own spot. So at the bottom of the list, at number 17, tragically, is Strago.
Oh,
Yeah.
Directly above him at number 16, because of Alex Roberts, is Kefka.
no, good job.
Wow, that's all that he
actually,
got. Yeah.
That's actually where he belongs.
Yeah.
That is actually where he belongs, and I'm happy with that.
Next up at number 15 is Sid. And you know what? You guys are probably right. It's probably where he actually goes. I don't know. Who's to say? Number 14 is Locke. Number 13, thematically appropriate, at number 13 is the Phantom Train Ghosts.
Oh,
Ooh, so spooky.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Number 12 is a war crime. I'm sorry, Ultros. Number 11 is General Leo, which at least
Way
he
too
beat
low.
out. He beat out the octopus.
That
I was
Yeah.
literally about to say the exact opposite. I was like, how did he get ahead of the octopus?
he's just too basic for you, Alex, or what? What is
he
it?
seems like a nice guy. I don't know.
I
man.
know,
All right.
that's a real, it can go either way.
All right.
Number 10 is Cyan. Number 9 is Gogo. Number 8 is Shadow.
Nice.
Number 7 is Sabin.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Number 6 is Terra.
Uh-huh.
Number 5 is Celes. Number 4 is Shiva and Ifrit.
Hell yeah. Perfect.
Number 3 is Setzer.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Edgar.
Yes.
Number 1 is Maduin.
Yeah! Fuck that monster man!
This is actually correct.
Yeah.
Like, I know that like it is literally designed to be that way, but this is more accurate to what I think than what I wrote. Like, this is, well, put Ultros on top of General Leo. Other than that, it's basically perfect.
The truth will find itself.
Alex,
Yeah.
now I'm picturing Ultros on top of General Leo. I don't think General Leo's having a good time.
Yeah. So, we have our definitive list, which means we have our definitive median. Ladies, gentlemen, those who go beyond the binary, I am happy to report that this could not be more perfect. The median fuckability for FF6 is Gogo.
Oh my god, yes.
Oh my god.
Perfect.
I mean,
Literally perfect.
I feel like Tetsuya Nomura himself has descended from Japan and given me personally a high five.
That's extraordinary.
Hironobu Sakaguchi has blessed this podcast.
Yeah, I feel it.
Oh, we've
right.
done something magical here today.
The spirit of Final Fantasy is with us today.
It is.
All right. So, taking all of this into account, everybody, on a scale of 1 to 10 boners, how fuckable is Final Fantasy VI?
9? 9 to 10, somewhere in there?
Explain yourself.
I just feel like for almost all of these, I was trying to figure out how high they should go rather than how low.
Right.
And most of the people that I was ranking low, it was just because like, well, I could get that in real life. You know, like General Leo's perfectly nice man. Perfectly nice men exist IRL. Not very many of them,
Yeah.
but like, but as where like so much of like the placement is just like, well, that would be wild. You know, that would be totally bonkers. Even the ones who are like close to the bottom of my list, still probably pretty nice time, mostly.
All right. Dan, what do you think?
I think I'm going to give this one like a 4.
Oh, wow.
It's just like, I don't know what it is. Because, you know, a lot of times we will say like, okay, like, let's look at your list. Like, at what point in the list are you saying no? And it's like pretty early for me. Like, it's pretty close to the middle of my list where I'm like, I don't really want to fuck this person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Nintendo exclusive era of Final Fantasy games were like intentionally and specifically made to be kid friendly, right? So you get these characters who are like very passionate and often pretty attractive, but there's just like not a lot of sexual energy coming off of them. And I think that's just what I'm picking up on. So yeah, come talk to me when we do FF7 because that's gonna rank very high.
Yeah. I'm really divided about this one. You really have to kind of put in a lot of work because the game is like moderately horny at times. You know, there's some horniness in the characters, but it's not really explicit or overt. If you think about it, if you headcanon, if you fanfic, there's extremely fertile ground here to expand the characters and like project, as I said, with a lot of the stuff. This game I have heard, I believe it was on the podcast Old Game Plus. There was a chance it was No One Can Know About This. But they were talking about how the power in Final Fantasy VI is it's the last game that's in the series definitively on the more abstract side of the Uncanny Valley, where it's closer to being like a novel than like a movie, you know? Because the sprites are so simple, it's all abstracted. And the dialogue is somewhat minimal. There's a lot of room to project onto it. And so I don't know how much credit to give the game itself for being horny, or is it just I'm horny is the question. Also, there's way too many dudes for me, I think. I'm going to give it a 6, just because there's only 2 chicks. There's a lot of good monsters, but only 2 chicks. I'm going to give it a 6.
I came at this thing so horny for these characters, but I brought a lot of that because that's what I can like project onto them, and like that's what I sort of get from their characters. But I do start to get into the maybes and the no's pretty early on. And so my passion for some of them is so overpowering. I guess, you know what? Guys, I'm going to give it a 6.
Yeah.
Seems only fair.
That was, I was kind of thinking of different numbers, and yeah, 6 makes the most sense. 6 for FF6. So
yeah. So that gives Final Fantasy VI a final ranking of 6.375 boners out of 10.
That's perfect.
Great.
That's perfect.
Beautiful.
Do we do the final calculation? Is that a thing we've done before? Or
Yeah, that's what I do whenever I'm
Okay.
on. All the rest of you are cowards.
All right. So before we sign off, what did we learn here? Anyone who feels compelled to do so can chime in with what lessons we've learned here today.
Maybe I would be into role-playing Donkey Kong and a banana. I don't know.
I learned that Bob and I have a lot in common.
Yes, I know. I feel the kinship, and I was like, another one? I have found, like, my tail was wagging, because I was like, oh, look, and a fellow me. I'm trying to think if I learned anything else. I think the big takeaway for me was with Sabin, in that I was like, I don't really want to fuck a himbo. That's not really, like, they're good, but they're not, like, special. You can find a himbo in the wild. They're not they're a rare species, but, you know, fucking, they're not extinct.
Yeah, they're on the threatened list, but not in danger,
exactly.
right?
But the moment I thought about, like, the absolute unsubtlety of that, I was like, oh, okay. So I was willing to throw aside all of my vaunted, like, thematic fucks for guys just like, I just want to eat pussy. And go like, you know what? You're past the velvet rope, sir. Congratulations. Welcome.
I've learned that, for me, Final Fantasy VI is just one of those things that I kind of forget about it, and then anytime I've either replayed it or just thought about it, or when we've done stuff on the show for it, like when we did the Smash Fiction episode about it and stuff, it just reignites this passion in me, and I just have this endless amount of, like, enthusiasm and love for this game, and this desire to just, like, project on it and see it expanded, because it's so brief and in so many ways, and so many of the other Final Fantasy games have, like, gotten more love, it feels like, and, you know, like, remasters or something, and I just want more of this story and more of this world and more of this characters. It reminds me, I saw a thing on Twitter a while back where people were putting, like, name a video game and, like, the ideal director for its movie adaptation, and someone put down just David Lynch's Final Fantasy VI. And I was like,
Oh my God.
fuck, yes,
Oh my God.
I want it so bad. I want the Dune movie of Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, actually.
that was one of those ones that it just, like, hit me in the soul, and I just think about that every once in a while now, and I'm just like, man, this setting and these characters and everything about this is just so fucking cool. So
It's the best.
Amazing.
It's the best one. That's
the
all
best
there is
one.
to
It
it.
is the best one. It is, it's my favorite because it's the best one.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me. This was a very, very fun time.
Anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, sure. People can check out, this hasn't come up. I'm a game designer. I make role-playing games. If you're interested in games that are either overtly or secretly kind of weird and horny,
Yeah.
strongly encourage you to either go look up Starcrossed, which is my 2-player game about forbidden love, or For the Queen, which is about a mean, scary lady. Or check out my Patreon, patreon.com/helloalexroberts, where I am making new stuff all the time.
Hell yeah.
And I'm at Muscular Pikachu on Twitter. Please follow me there. Give me all your opinions. I will pay attention.
That's a hell of a handle.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It's me.
And I'm MeganBob, and I sit upon the throne of the Boner Kingdom in the land of horniness, presiding over Hard Choices and its attendant Patreon feed. Our Patreon feed is both reasonably priced and is home to an ever-growing collection of incredibly strange and horny things. It's also where you can sign up at the $4.20 level and get into that sexy hangout club that is the Hard Choice Discord. It dares to ask, what if the internet was horny, but not in a way that made me feel like you had to use your incognito browser? What if instead it was horny in a way that was fun and just the right side of R-rated, that you wouldn't invite your parents, but you would still tell your friends about it? Like a social media feat that is frankly loads more challenging than finding the G-spot. But buddy, we have done it. I know. Is that what we're going to call it? Hard Choice Discord, the G-spot of social media groups. But I don't know. It's not the worst. We're also gearing up for some additional patron-only content and patron-only experiences in the coming months, so this is a good time to get on board if you've been thinking about it. I know. You're thinking, why would I ever log into Patreon again in my life? I did it the one time. I subscribed to one thing. That site is terrible. I'm not going back. Look, you're right. I'm not just going to tell you you're wrong. You're totally right. But if you're wondering where we keep the harder stuff, the really weird shit, it's on the feed. And I promise that if you go check it out, you will never, ever look at a semicolon the same way again. Lord knows I can't. So if you head on over to the Patreon for Hard Choices and join up, you will get access to the existing bonus content and to all the bonus content that is coming your way in the future.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode of Hard Choices, the objectively best episode of Hard Choices. Until next time, stay hard.
This has been Hard Choices. If you want to show your support and get even more goofs from behind the scenes, visit patreon.com/hard choices and become a patron. You'll get exclusive voting rights and participation in every weird new thing we do. If you like the show, please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review on the podcatcher of your choice. It shows people what's fun about the show and makes it easier for others to find it too. Hard Choices is produced by MeganBob. Our theme song is Funk Me by Soundroll. This piece and all music used in this production is licensed through Uppbeat. You can find details in our show notes and listen to more great tunes at uppbeat.io, spelled UPPBEAT.io. The Hard Choices logo is designed by Mulkerin. If you'd like to get into touch with us, look for the Smash Fiction Fan Faction on Facebook and join the conversation. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. You're a peach!